Welcome to the Melanin Private Practice Group podcast with your host, Jaylyn. In this podcast, we focus on providing helpful information to new and existing mental health practitioners interested in starting a private practice and or those who are currently in it but just need a little bit of help. If you are ready to receive this word, let's dive in. Here we go. Hello, everyone. So sorry for the delay in coming off mic. I hope you are all having an amazing evening. It's Jessica Lynn, aka Jalen, and I am super excited to be going live for the third night, y'all. The third night with my dear friend, my shero, my business collab, Kelly Saunders. While we wait for her to join the video, I want you all to think about something. Um, and if you're watching on the replay on YouTube, I want you to put a thumbs up in the comment section if you know that there are different areas of your practice that you need improvement. Okay. I want you to put a thumbs up if you know that there are different areas of your practice where you know you need improvement, whether it's sales and acquisitions, whether it's operations, whether it is revenue cycle, whether it is marketing, whether it is leadership and training. I want you to go ahead and put that thumbs up. Now, my second call to action is if you believe that there's nothing wrong in your practice, like everything is finally in a good place, go ahead and put a thumbs down. Now, I know some of you are probably sitting here like, wait a minute, a thumbs down? And I'm doing this for a specific reason, I promise you. But like I said, you are in this place where you're saying, hey, things are good. I don't really need to um, fix anything because we're finally at a place that we want to be, and put a thumbs down. All right. So give me about a minute or so. I'm going to go back on mute and then I'm going to introduce why we're here tonight to talk with Kelly and a little bit about us, some upcoming projects, services, and programs that you should be aware. And then by the time we finish that, Kelly should be here. All right. So again, I'll give it about a minute and then I'll be right back. All right, all right, all right. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with us and being patient. Again, if you are coming in on the replay, we so appreciate you. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Jessica Lynn. I am the founder and CEO of JLW Medical Management Consulting here in Boston, Massachusetts. And a part of the work that I do is making sure you're operationally fit, meaning everything within your practice is flowing accordingly. We are looking at your operations and we are finding ways to optimize it to help you expand. But most importantly, if you are not doing well operationally, we also find ways to help you recover and get back to where you desire to be. It is one of the most rewarding jobs I have ever had. And I say that because I take pride in being able to not only serve our clients, but also to be able to help them overcome different challenges. We have helped practices recoup over $200,000 worth of reimbursements. We've helped practices become more efficient operationally. We've helped practices grow their profits sustainably at that after experiencing detrimental decline. And so, if we have the skills and ability to do that for our current clients, then we definitely have the skills and ability to do it for you. And so, we some of the programs and services we have coming down the pike are number one of my favorite services that we've just recently launched is our Spark brainstorming sessions. And this brainstorming session was designed to give providers access to consultants to be able to work through different challenges, talk about different problems they're having, and develop a real-time action plan to attack those problems. And it's our non-traditional service that gives you more affordability and immediate access on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you know like you're not ready to really and truly invest in your business with our other services, such as the reimbursement recovery services, or even the fractional executive services, then our Spark session service is definitely dynamic and will support you in helping you develop strategies to overcome challenges. And then, last but not least, before we jump to the main guest of the hour, our other service, which is one of the reasons why Kelly is here tonight, is our recovery coaching program. So, as you know, over the last few months, we've really been talking about making sure that um, we are helping businesses recover. And one thing that is super, super important to me is making sure that businesses have what they need in terms of information, resources, professionals that they can rely on to really help them understand what they need to do to improve. But most importantly, that can give them that one-on-one feeling in a group setting that really helps them to feel as though they're not alone. They don't have to move with embarrassment. That, believe it or not, every business, myself included, has had challenges. And so Kelly, my like I said, my shero, my road dog, my girl, okay, the only friend that I know. Oh, they're not ready for that one yet, Kelly. We gonna spare them that one. that pulls up in a time of need and really makes sure that I have what I need. So without further ado, but I'm not gonna pitch you just yet. Okay. We're gonna let Kelly come in and talk to us a little bit about sales, and then I'm gonna make her proud and pitch you. So without further ado, Kelly, why don't you come off mic and tell the participants on replay all about Kelly and Kelly's Old Cars.
Hey, hey! How is it going? Hope everybody is having a great night and a great culmination to their week. My name is Kelly Saunders, and I am the owner of Kelly Sells Cars Consulting. I've been in the automotive industry industry for about 14 years. However, I've been in the sales industry for over 23 years. I know it's like, girl, you look too cute to be that old. Wait a minute. I actually got my first sales job when I was 14 in New York City. You can get your working papers at 14 years old. And so I did. And I've been selling and upselling ever since, right? So a little bit about me. My passion is helping people solve their problems, right? But more from a sales standpoint. There is absolutely a psychology to sales. So I do financing, leasing, wholesaling, cash cars, fix and flips, long-term rentals, short-term rentals, auto equity lines of credit, corporate lines of credit. I help people finance cars in their personal name as well as in their business name. I also teach people how to leverage the vehicles they already have in order to make money with those vehicles. I have 2 books published. They're available on Amazon as an ebook. So I have 2 ebooks published, and you can definitely go on Amazon and search Kelly C. Saunders or Kelly Sells Cars, and both of those will pop up for you. With that being said, without further ado, my passion is sales, but not the icky, greasy, sleazy sales, but the sales that makes you feel good about what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're pitching. So I love being a part of this course and this process because that is typically the one thing that most people don't do, right? I tell Jessica all the time, there's such a thing as you are an expert in what it is that you do. You've gone to school for what it is that you do. Maybe taken some classes and training, so on and so forth, to become high level and elite at what it is that you do. But the likelihood is that you have not taken sales as seriously as you have done whatever it is that you do in your particular industry. And so that's a little bit about what we're going to deep dive into tonight and a little bit about me. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Jess.
I see, I did it. I thought I wasn't going to do it, but I did it. But yeah, thank you so much for that warm introduction and just letting the people know about your passion for sales. And you guys, I've been rocking with Kelly now for the last 4 years. And I have to tell you, she is really about her business and sales. And one of the reasons why we wanted her to meet tonight and to talk to you about sales is because it's the end of the week. You're tired. You've probably looked at your numbers and said, we need to hit our sales goals. And so knowing that in this season, we are really focusing on moving providers from this constant crisis mode into what we call the second quadrant, the goal setting, the preventative, the planning mode, and really helping you see how, yes, you can have challenges, but we can develop plans to help overcome those challenges. And so one of the first questions I'm going to ask Kelly is, who is your ideal client and how can you better reach them?
So my ideal client is anyone that would be in need of anything automotive related, right? However, if we pivot toward the medical industry, right, my ideal client would be anyone who is willing to learn how to grow better and faster within their industry. The way that I would reach them typically would be through social media, Google, I call it Googleations, um, or word of mouth. Word of mouth is super powerful because what word of mouth does is, regardless of what industry that you're in, it provides a sense of rapport that someone else that you know, like, and trusted in this other person, right? And so in the instance of me or anybody that I would train, someone who've already dealt with us had such an amazing experience, right? That they're going to go ahead and spread the word in a positive way. And so anytime that they hear that someone needs something that we have to offer, we're top of mind. We're the first name that comes out, and that's the first referral. they typically will go ahead and give our information, not only willingly, but excitedly. They're enthusiastic about sharing the type of experience that they had with us. And so that would be how I would ideally gain my clients. But definitely social media is not to be slept on. Everything from, of course, your usual suspects like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, but some that's not so usual. For example, Pinterest. You and I had this conversation before. Pinterest is absolutely phenomenal because it panders toward women. Let's just call a spade a spade. And the gender that is more likely to spend money in automotive, in mental health, in in hair care, and just about every industry is women. So I think people sleep on utilizing Pinterest, but I think that's something that should be utilized more, a platform that should be utilized more.
I absolutely love that you said that because it made me reflect back to one of my clients who her specific niche was Black women. And Pinterest was not one of the platforms that we were promoting on. So to know and to realize that that's how they get us, which makes sense because I go for my decoration ideas on Pinterest. That's yeah, I think I need to make a pivot, y'all. And
Absolutely.
so just a little cheat code. I actually asked that question wrong, but I'm glad you answered it the way that you did. So I'm gonna spin off of it and then I'm gonna re-ask the question the way it was meant to be asked. Um, so the spin-off of that is something that you said is so critical. And you and I have talked about this offline before in terms of um, people being invested in finding the value, right? So what you said was someone who is willing to learn. Now, Kelly, before you got on the call, I did an engagement question for our audience. I asked people if they know that there's an area of their business that they need improvement to put thumbs up. And when we go back in and we watch the replays and look at the comments, we're going to see how many people put the thumbs up. But then we
Hmm.
asked the second question. If
Hmm.
you are in this place right now and you're just like, you know what, things are good, I don't really think I need your services at this time, go ahead and put a thumbs down. And I told the participants that I would tell them why I asked it in that way later on. And so now presents that opportunity. If you answered the question with a thumbs down and you are just in this place where you're just like, um, things are good. I really don't need the service right now. We're finally in a place that we need to be. You need to be in our course. In business, and I'm gonna let Kelly speak on this, but in business in general, there are times where you need to constantly be looking at your processes. And so, me asking Kelly about who's your ideal client, even though it was in the wrong way, it was really meant for y'all to identify. One thing that comes to mind is who are you trying to reach? And with Kelly being a sales professional, these are the types of questions you need to ask yourself, your ideal client, knowing who you work well with and who you don't. And if you're in a place where you're not willing to learn, that can also be a problem. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to give the floor back to Kelly. Kelly, for our providers who are watching it on the replay, how do they identify their ideal client and how can they better reach them? And if you can, also touch on the demographics and psychographics.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start off this way. Okay. I'm going to have people ask themselves this question. I'm going to explain it out a little bit. We we all know what a machine gun is, right? And a machine gun lets off multiple bullets at one time, like a ton of bullets in split seconds, right? And typically you're spraying from left to right, and you're trying to hit whatever the target is. Okay, let's in this example say a deer. People who are not proficient in sales will do that. They'll send out email blast after email blast, and it's the same email blast to the same people all the time. You're spraying and praying at that moment. You put out Instagram posts or Facebook posts or reels or whatever to the same people all the time. It's called spraying and praying. But then there's a more targeted approach. We all know that, the Army has the Army Rangers, and there's Delta Force, and there's Green Berets, and so on and so forth, right? And the Marines have their version as well. Those are the sharpshooters. Those are the people who can isolate their target, they isolate the objective, and they execute. And so they will shoot that deer 100% of the time, and they won't miss. The difference in sales between you and someone, and not you, Jess, but between the proverbial you, right, and someone who has a more targeted approach is spray and pray. You're likely going to miss more often than you're going to hit. But the person who's that sharpshooter, and they isolate the person that is specific to their niche, and that they can provide the most help to, right? Not only are they not going to miss, but they're more likely to have more engagement from those people. And that engagement is going to turn into more business, right? We don't want to call it sales because for some reason people think the word sales is icky, greasy, sleazy, like used car salesman, no shade to me. Right? But it just makes them feel uncomfortable. So let's change that word sales to the word share. Are you sharing what you do with the right people? Are you doing it in the right way? Do you have a targeted sharing approach, or are you just sharing everywhere with everybody? And maybe for the proverbial streets, as far as business is concerned, are you for those business streets, right? Or are you elite high level that only the clients that are meant for you come to, right? And so then how do we find those clients? Again, I mentioned word of mouth, but also your messaging needs to be absolutely clear. It needs to be concise. And you have to focus on the rapport build. People only do business with those that they feel like they know, like, and trust. We always hear that, right? So something that I did as an example, because I sell cars, right? Most people don't want to just see pictures of people next to a car holding a set of keys. It gets monotonous, old, tiring. Uh, it's just blah, for lack of a better word. I know there's a better word out there, but that's the best I got for you right now. Right. So I started incorporating my family. I started incorporating that I'm a real person and that we have real life events. And from that, I started gaining more clients that were less likely to cancel, right? More likely to be present, more likely to be present in the moment, and more likely to participate. So it was another way to build rapport and gain the clients that I was looking for. As far as sales goes, though, and I've told Jessica this, there is a psychology to sales that I think people tend to miss. There are, as far as the psychology of sales goes, there are 4 different personality types. You have those people who are the WIFM, WIFM, the what's in it for me people. Those people are more likely to buy immediately. They're more likely to invest with you, more likely to sign up as your client right away. Those are the people who want to know, you know what? Does this person accept my insurance? I'm going to call my insurance right now and see if they accept them, because I'm going to sign up with them right now. I resonate with them. They're hitting all the, I call them pressure points, not pain points, but all the pressure points right now. I love them. While I'm in love with them, I'm going to figure it out because I want to sign up right now. Then you have those people who will sign up only if they see or hear other people. Those are the FOMO people, the fear of missing out. And so when you're on Google and you have those all important Google reviews, what are those Google reviews saying about you? Because those fear of missing out people, they are going to look at the reviews. And the more people they see are having excellent, reviews about you and giving excellent feedback about you, they don't want to feel left out. So they're going to sign up too. And they're going to say, you know what? I got to be a part of the number. I got to be, you know, on the in. And then they are those people. I promise you, the FOMO people, they have more of a green personality. They like to be the life of the party. Those are the people that, honest to goodness, Jess, when they're at a party, if they hear of anybody talking about, oh, you know, you're such a different person, you're so much more bubbly, or you're so much more happy, you're glowing, what's going on in your life, they're going to say, you know what? I have a new therapist. Therapist and I are just phenomenal. And let me tell you about this therapist. Is Dr. Have you heard of Dr. Smith? Let me tell you about Dr. Smith, girl. Dr. Smith is this person who's it. Like they will run off at the mouth and be your number one advocate because they feel as though they didn't miss out and only the best of the best people go see the best of the best person, right? So those are your super advocates. You want to keep them close and see, okay? You want to keep them real close. And then you have those people who I call them more of a blue person. They're much more paced. They have a paced personality. They're going to do their research. They're going to do their due diligence, but they're also going to ask around because they don't want to feel like they've been taken for granted or taken advantage of. They don't want to feel like they've been bamboozled or swindled or anything like that. So they're going to eventually come around, but also it needs to be their idea. So with those types of people, you have to make it seem like them coming to you and signing up with you or registering with you or anything like that, right, is their idea. And last but not least, you have my favorite, which is, I call them the yellow personality. They're much more structured. So the structured person is typically a research-oriented person. They also, like paced people, don't want to feel like they got swindled or bamboozled, but also they tend to have very high intuition. And so their research that they do is validating the intuition they have that's telling them to do something or not do something. If their intuition is telling them not to do it, they're not going to bother with the research. But if their intuition is saying, hey, this is likely a good idea, then they're going to do their due diligence. They're going to do their research. And when they sign up with you, they're going to feel great about it. So Jess, I hope that answers your question a little bit more in depth as far as the psychology of sales goes, but also how to target more of that audience that will be specific to the individual.
It absolutely does. And thank you for going into the different personality types that people tend to operate with when deciding whether or not they are going to purchase their service, because they're uh, one thing I've learned is that every customer is not your customer. And if it has to take a little bit longer to probe, at least for me as a business
Mm-hmm.
consultant, I'm less likely to do that with you, more so because I know the value that I have to offer, and I don't have time to convince you of what I already know. You either know or you don't. Like you ever say, you know, then you
Yep.
know, right?
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So I'm less likely to be that person that tries to convince. And believe it or not, I used to be that person that would say, "Oh, well, no, you need this," and no, I'm not in a place to convince. But moving to why I started going down that route, a lot of times, like I've heard social workers constantly say, I can't find a therapist. I've heard workers say, I'm spending hours upon hours researching and trying to find practices with openings, and I can't find them. And on the flip side, I hear providers saying, I need more clients. I need to to get my practice filled. Like I have new interns who are starting that need patients. I have new clinicians starting that need patients. What do I do? Where do I go? And depending on the city and state in which you're in, it can be harder to navigate, especially if you're in a bigger metropolitan area. It can feel like you're alone. And so as it pertains to referral sources, what type of referral sources should therapists think about? And how should they go about positioning themselves to start building effective collaborations?
Absolutely. So, we have a mutual friend, Health Unicorn Mike. And one thing that I learned from him is those unicorn collaborations, those collaborations that don't seem like a super short fit collaboration, but it is still a great collab to have, right? And so um, I will say this. Number one, don't bother collaborating with anybody if you're not an effective communicator. The reason I say that is because you risk ruining not only your reputation, but the reputation of the people who are referring you. If you are an ineffective communicator, if you drop the ball, it will ruin your business. So you have to know yourself first. Before we talk about referral sources and where you can go to gain more business, you need to know what kind of business you are. Are you that person that when somebody reaches out to sign up, you have an auto reply, but then you never actually follow up? Are you that person that always follows up and sends multiple emails? Are you an over communicator, right? Are you the person who meets with a client day one and then gives a 6 month plan? Or are you that person that needs more time to put a structured plan together? And maybe that person fell by the wayside and then you forget to talk to them until that next scheduled appointment, right? So you need to know who you are first before you worry about collabs or referrals. Past that, I would then say, hey, listen, if you are a counselor, a therapist, um, a life coach, or one of those types of industry leaders, I would say, speaking from a personal place, right? I wish that the funeral home that I did my husband's or my late husband's ceremony at gave me a referral for a grief counselor. They didn't. And I did ask. They didn't have one to give me. They referred me back to my insurance and said, you know what, maybe you should reach out to your insurance company. In times of grief counselors, y'all, I think it would be a great collaboration to collaborate with not just funeral homes, but also cemeteries, things of that nature, hospitals for sure, right? Because prior, just from a personal standpoint, prior to my husband's passing, he was in a coma for 6 weeks, and it would have been great for that social worker who met with me to be able to refer me to a therapist that could walk me through my feelings in that time and what I was going through and the stress. Trust me, it would have been way better than me going to my car and screaming, which was what I actually did. I did that several times a day. Went to my car and screamed. Um, Something that was offered to, for example, my children at my time of loss was also a counselor that the school provided, but the counselor was actually not inside the school building, but they referred me and the counselor came inside of the school building at different designated times. So I would say collaborating with schools, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, our teenagers, our middle schoolers, they're going through so much. Not only are their bodies changing and their hormones are all over the place, but they're going through, school and we have this test and that test. They're applying for colleges. The anxiety levels are through the roof. I'm sure that a lot of us can remember what it was like applying to college and being fearful that we wouldn't have to go. And I can't be the only one that said, okay, since no place is going to accept me, I'm going to go into the military. And then being surprised when college actually let you in, even though you probably had good grades. I had really good grades. I was still shocked when I got accepted, right? Because the anxiety took over. So I think those are also some really, really great collaborations, but some of those non-obvious unicorn collaborations, right? I am in car sales. All therapists, regardless of what your specialty is, reach out to your local car dealerships. Why? because we have stressors in our personal relationships. So we need relationship counseling because a lot of the time our families are missing us. We are the ones that are out of the house 12, 14 hours a day and trying to provide, so on and so forth. And we don't have our families, but more importantly, our families don't have us, right? Um, Another thing that I could think of off the top of our head, or top of my head, rather, is that a lot of car sales people experience the highs and lows of depression and anxiety because you start out the beginning of the month at zero, right? Everybody starts out even, and there's that anxiety. Am I going to make a check this month? Am I going to be able to pay all my bills this month? Is everything going to work out the way it's supposed to work out this month? How many calls do I have to make? How many appointments do I have to make? Oh my goodness, this is overwhelming. And then you get to the end of the month and you're sitting on cloud nine and you're coasting because you know you just made an amazing check and everything is great. And then you go back to zero again. And now you're down in the dumps all over again. And you experience different types of burnout. So a unicorn collaboration absolutely would be your sales individuals, car sales, real estate, because they go through a lot of anxiety and trauma as well. They have homes that don't close because there was an inspection that should have been done that wasn't done, and now they have to wait to the next month, and they're stressing out because their bills aren't getting paid, and family isn't being taken care of, and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of unicorn collaborations for therapists, counselors, people in the medical industry would be your sales professionals, would be your educators, would be children, teenagers, even people that are in high risk jobs because they experience a lot of stress, depression, anxiety, things of that nature as well. So people who work on bridges, tunnels, so city workers, city employees, state workers. So those are your unicorn collaborations that I would look to do, not just going to your industry networking events, but maybe step outside of your industry and network there as well.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. Having the unicorn connections, but most importantly, getting comfortable being uncomfortable is what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows that a grape doesn't become fine wine by just sitting there on the vine. It has to go through a pressing and a shaking and a beating in order to get that delicious taste that we all look forward to if you're a wine person. So I love, love, love that you went there. My next question to you is, what are some ways that providers can build and strengthen current relationships with existing referral sources? Like, how do they keep it fresh?
Absolutely. So, communication is key. I have a CRM, a database. Most business owners do have some type of a CRM where they keep their clients all organized, a client management tool. But that can also include um, your referral base, right? Where you get those referrals from. Keep that relationship fresh. One way, honest to goodness, is just picking up the phone and calling them. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. Shoot a quick text. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. But the second that you build that rapport and you know that John Smith is a baker and he has two kids, shoot a quick text on the birthday or 6 months after his birthday. Just say, hey, thinking about you and your kids. How's the bakery going? How's things going? I don't need anything from you. Just want to check in on you and make sure you're good. That check-in phone call, that check-in text is integral, especially at times when you don't need anything from them, because that will always make a person feel valued and appreciated in your life. Um, and they're more likely to continue to not only do business with you, but to refer business to you, right? And so anytime you do those check-ins, and it doesn't have to be every single day, like I said, it could be once every 6 months or once every 3 months, something like that. You can even put a reminder in your CRM, in your database, something like that. Um, and just say, hey, happy birthday. Leave a happy birthday voicemail, something like that. It goes a really, really long way. Something else that I have done personally is I do, and this is a nugget, y'all, I do a specifically vague video. You're gonna be like, what's a specifically vague video? Great. A specifically vague video is a video that makes it feel as though you're talking only to that one person, that nobody else in the world matters, that it is just for them. However, the vagueness of the video is that you never mention a name. So I'll give an example. I love birthdays. Birthdays are my favorite thing. I just talked about them a couple times because I absolutely am a birthday person, right? And so the video that I did was, hey, hey, rock star, I can't believe it's your birthday. Shout out to you. Woo, woo. Another 365 around the sun. I think I said something like that. I was like, I can't wait to reach on out to you again. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. You're phenomenal. I miss you. Can't wait to talk to you again. Peace and blessings. Enjoy your day. Something simple like that. It makes a person feel like they matter, not just to your business, but to you personally. It's a rapport builder, but I never said the person's name. I was never specific about the date. I didn't say, I can't wait. I believe that today is March 22nd, which is my birthday. Happy birthday to us, birthday twin. Nope, I didn't do any of that. I was specifically vague. I was very specific about sending the birthday wish. I was very genuine about the birthday wish, but I was vague about who it was to. And so that way my CRM sends those out automatically, those videos out automatically on that person's birthday, right? So I don't have to do a new video every time. The only thing that I do is about every 6 months or so, I'll redo the video in a different shirt and blazer. So you're not getting the same video
Oh
2
my
years in a row.
goodness.
So I'll redo it. But typically my red blazer is my signature blazer. But one year I'll have a white shirt, another year I'll have a black shirt, so on and so forth. So you guys get the picture, right? So that's another way to just build that rapport and just bond with your clients and your customer base. And also it changes up the hair some, but I typically like my hairstyle.
Oh my goodness, not the hair staying the same. My goodness.
I love routine. I am a routine oriented person. I get a little frazzled. I don't know how many other people are like this. But I get a little frazzled when things that I know are supposed to go a certain way does not go that way, right? And it's a little off-putting, like, whoa, this is not me. Mm-mm. I know myself well enough to know that I don't like change unless the change was my idea. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to give pushback if the change was not my idea. But if we pivot that back to sales, right? How likely are you to gain more clients if the law changed and now the amount of compliance that you have to be in has also changed? How excited are you about what it is that you do if you find out that the government has added extra hoops for you to jump through, right? How excited are you going to be about, oh, the IRS added extra things that I have to be in compliance with, right? And so that's why I think this course, Jessica, is phenomenal because it includes people like you that are phenomenal with compliance, specifically to the medical industry, therapy, consulting, things of that nature. And it includes Javante, who's phenomenal with bookkeeping, knows his numbers, he's on the money, right? And then we have Natasha, right? And trust me, one thing, everybody, when it comes to lawyers, they do not like being involved with anything that is not on the up and up. So trust me, this entire course is absolutely on the up and up. We can all be vetted. We can all be researched. And Natasha is phenomenal at making sure that when the laws change, she's up on it. She's a researcher too, just like Jessica is, just like I am, just like Javante is. I'm super into our craft, right? Our individual crafts, which is why, when we get together, we're like medical consulting Avengers. We're going to make sure that we save your practice. And sometimes I'm gonna put this out there for those of you, y'all might feel a little kind of way, but you know why you feel some kind of way? It's because I'm right. Sometimes we gotta save it from you because you the person who's doing yourself the disservice, thinking that, oh, I can do all of this by myself. Okay,
Ooh,
wait till you get burned out. Wait till you end up in the
Ooh,
hospital because you didn't want to go ahead and invest in somebody who does this all day easily in their sleep. We dream about it. I dream about sales. I eat, sleep, dream, breathe sales, right? Specifically car sales, but sales in general. Jessica is phenomenal when it comes to compliance, when it comes to going after insurance companies, making sure that you get all your money, honey. Okay. Um, Javante is going to make sure that not only do you get your money, but what are you doing with the money that you have? Whoever's watching this, ask yourself, does your business have $10,000 in savings?
ooh,
Does your business
oh,
have business investments? Is your bookkeeping on the up and up, or is your bookkeeping lacking because you went to school to be a grief counselor, but you're trying to also be an accountant and a lawyer and a compliance specialist and a sales professional? Like, how many roles can you really do before you get burnt out? Or what is slipping because you're too focused on one thing, trying to do it all by yourself? So I'm going to go ahead before I get on my soapbox and start preaching because I feel the Lord saying, Kelly, girl. And I'm just going to say, yes, Jesus. And be obedient.
y'all.
But yes, Jessica, yes, girl.
So I'm over here trying to decide if I want to get up out of my chair and do the church woman holler and the dance, like the lady on Facebook who went to DSW and put on a whole bunch of shoes
Yes,
just
I
to
saw
test the Jesus shout. I want to do that right now because my God, you were on the money. And literally, are you on the money?
that. That
And
part.
I think what sticks out for me is the simple fact that you guys are not trained in this area. And um and I'm not going to harp on it. I'm not going to overshadow what Kelly said, but I do need to emphasize that the especially when it comes to the revenue cycle, it is not to be played with. I'll give you an example. This past February, you guys know Change Healthcare had a major cybersecurity attack event take place on their systems to the point everything shut down. Well, before we knew what had happened, like before they had actually released what happened, the Blue Cross Blue Shields, it's called their Center Connect. Y'all know if you take their insurance, it was grayed out for like 2 weeks. And we couldn't call Change Healthcare. We couldn't get through to their phone lines. They shut off their phone lines because they knew they want people were going to start hammering them with questions. This was back around February 12th. Now, Factor on February 21st, they released a statement telling us that they had a cybersecurity event and they're aware of it and the system should be back up and running. Don't y'all know it's still not back up and running? Like these are things that
What?
as a therapist, if you are not trained, like I my brain is trained to say, okay, I can't reach the third party payer. I'm not getting a response via email. Their system is down. Is there a cybersecurity attack?
Mm.
Because nobody shuts down their system like that. Like that's the first thing I thought of. Right. And then it was confirmed. One of my clients, we have the pleasure of having a biller who is also the head of the I'm just going to call the Billing Association because I can't remember the actual acronyms right now, based out of
Mhm.
New Hampshire. And so she was getting the updates in real time. So she knew about it before we knew about it. Although, 17 years of experience, you just know, right? And so I say all that to say that you need to constantly be looking at newsletter updates. You need to constantly be looking at changes that are happening. And at the healthcare finance committee meetings, if you are not following those, your consultant is, because they need to be able to stay abreast and up to date with all of these changes so that they can better advise and guide you. So it is so important, you guys. Please, 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 even if it's not JLW, please hire the professionals. It is absolutely necessary. So I'm off my soapbox because y'all know I can stay on that for like days, weeks, and hours, right? I kind of want to pivot, and we've been talking about referral sources. You've touched on identifying referral partners. Like she literally knocked out like all my questions out because she's that amazing. And
Oh,
so
thank you.
you're so welcome. I want to pivot to marketing because you started talking about the messaging, the personality, making sure that they are talking to the right person. So my question is, how do therapists make their marketing unique to them, but still making sure they're hitting those important points, such as which personality type they're targeting and also making sure that they have the right language to speak to the fears or the hesitations.
That's easy. Hire JLW Consulting. And I'm not being facetious just because I'm, affiliated and on your podcast. Like, no, I'm serious because so I'll give an example again using me. I thought that I could market myself and brand myself because who knows me better than me, right? Epic fail. Epic fail. I did a good job. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty good at knowing me. I did a good job. But once I hired a marketing and branding specialist, like a consultancy that did multiple things, right? It took off. Like it changed so much. For example, this red blazer, this was not my idea. No, this was a part of a team of people who were way smarter than myself in that particular field. I'm gonna tell y'all, listen, my degree is in criminal justice administration, and I've been selling cars for 14 years. I am not a marketing and branding specialist. Okay. I had to hire a consulting agency that not only put me together, honey, and made sure that my hair was the right style for my headshots, that my clothes were the right clothes for those headshots, but also for my in-person speaking events and so on and so forth. Even down to the shoes. Seriously, but also that my logo was the right logo, that I was making myself visible in the right places at the right time. At the right time is crucial. Um, so I'll give it an example based on Instagram. We all know Instagram. We all love Instagram, right? We go in the restroom, we start scrolling. Instagram is our best friend. Facebook too. They're our best friends. We carry our phones with us all the time. We're always on social media, right? So it was due to the consultancy that I hired that taught me that Instagram has certain times of the day based on where you live in the world that they promote your media out. So it just so happened that I sat there and I said, you know what, I'm going to pay these people. I might as well listen. Might as well try it out because I've been trying it on my own and I'm getting some traction, like a little, couple hundred views here, a couple hundred views there. And I thought I was doing something until I listened and several of my reels went viral, over 210,000 views, over 100,000 views, so on and so forth. And I said, well, I'll be gosh darn. They know what they were talking about. The right hashtags put out at the right time of day, put out, with the right music paired to it, so on and so forth. And I learned that different things can be timed. Like, look at all of this stuff. Don't you know I went and hired a social media specialist to learn from the consultancy to then be my social media strategist because I could do it myself. But to be honest and transparent, I could have done it myself. But the time it would have taken away from my kids, the time it would have taken away from my business, time it would have taken away from my life. I'm one of those people where I want to live life. I don't want life to live me. So I invested. So that would be my answer, Jessica. They should invest. Absolutely. Jessica's modest. She's going to say, it doesn't necessarily have to be me. No, it should, because she has painstakingly took the time out, pulled all-nighters, vetting people and going through people. She didn't just select people because we're cool. She's cool with a lot of people. Okay, let me tell you, Jessica's popular. She knows a lot of people. She could have picked anybody. She went for the best of the best. I would definitely not look a gift horse in the mouth. I would definitely go ahead and bare minimum. do a consultation with her. Bare minimum, do the consultation and see what she has to offer and see if that resonates with you and your business for sure.
See, Kelly, this is why I call you my sister, because you know me a little bit too well. I surely was about to come off my mic like, oh, Kelly, well, you know. So the fact that she called me out, y'all, this is why I got her. Okay. So there were several things that stuck out to me. And actually, you just taught me something new. Now, I knew from an Instagram standpoint that there are insights and you can see the best times to post, but I did not know that they push your content the most at specific times based off where you are. So I absolutely love that. That's going to make me do hence more research to find out when they're pushing my content, because that is important knowledge. And you guys, and she said it best. She hired a consulting team slash agency who knew what they were doing, who could educate her, who in return educated me, right? Knowledge is
Absolutely.
power. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying absolutely. I'm just agreeing.
Knowledge is power, y'all. And just a heads up, I said it on night two and I said it on night one. Y'all know I'm in a co-working space. So if you hear the background noise, just know that I've this is unfortunately where I'm working tonight. So please bear with us. So moving into the next question, client experience. Okay, now I'm gonna take this two ways. I would take this two ways because in the behavioral health world, clients are not always the nicest. I have
Mm-hmm.
stories for days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think of this one particular client that comes to mind where this particular caller had called our offices and was looking for intake to become a patient. And for whatever reason, the patient did not get a call back. So the next time the patient called the facility, it was hammer time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Patient went off, a couple of B's, S's, and a lot of F bombs. Okay. I think I got a lot of W's and H's too. I can't fully recall. But one of the things that stuck out was the simple fact that the patient felt unheard, felt unseen, felt as though we were taking her concerns very lightly. And so, as it pertains to sales and really focusing heavy on what we advertise versus how we show up, how can we both positively and negatively impact the client experience during that sales journey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that question. So let's start with the negative because it's the easiest, right? It's the easiest one to go to. So, we can inadvertently negatively impact when, like I was talking about that spray and pray method, when you're constantly saying, oh, well, I'm a therapist. Oh, well, I'm a counselor. Oh, okay. So what's going on with you? Okay. Well, you know what? I'm a counselor. I'm a therapist. Like, okay, wait, hold on. I know what it is that you do, but I also thought you were a friend, or I also thought that, um, you were somebody that wasn't going to be so pushy, right? Because sometimes inadvertently it can come across as though we're being really, really pushy because we're so excited. We're so excited to want to help. Like, yes, I know I can help you. Come on, come on down, right? And we don't realize that we can be pushing a person away because we're invalidating what they're saying because we're not actually listening. We're hearing what they're saying, right? But we're not listening, internalizing it. We're not taking it in, chewing it up, like letting it digest. We're just hearing it. We're anticipating what we think they're going to say next and then spewing back out the the ask for the business, right? So that's how that could negatively impact your business inadvertently because they're not going to feel very helped. They're not going to feel welcomed or wanted by you or your practice, right? They're likely going to tell people, don't mess with you because you're just money hungry and you don't actually care about people and all the things. You're going to end up being the worst person in the entire universe by the time they're done. But on the flip side, there's a positive way of that sales strategy, right? And so I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with it. Um, that's more of the sharing. In order to share, you have to receive. You have to learn to listen intently. I know you're like, Kelly, that's like what we go to school for, is to listen. Like, duh, I get it. Absolutely. But a lot of the times, ask yourself, how many times do you listen for specific things to then turn around to say something that you think is going to resonate with that person? Probably most of the time. Typically, a positive sales experience is when you're asking a lot of questions, but not necessarily giving a lot of answers, because it forces that person to think like, hey, this person asked a lot of really great questions. They allowed for me to internalize things, to think things through. And now I'm curious. I want to know what other questions they have for me. It's actually a sales tactic. And to be honest with you, I know we don't like that word tactic, but it is a sales strategy, right? It's a better word. It's a sales strategy. And we're taught that the person who asks the questions is in control. And the person answering the question is likely to sign up with the person who's in control. You have a leader and then you have a follower. If you lead, they will follow, right? And so we do that not by selling per se, but by sharing our questions. So for me, I'll take it back to automotive. For me, I might say something like, oh, you know what? I hear what it is you're saying. I understand what it is that you're looking for. Is there a particular, I don't know, color that you absolutely will not accept? Is there a particular mile marker that you absolutely will not allow for me to go over? Do you plan on your family growing in the next 3 to 5 years, therefore needing to trade this vehicle in? So let's take it away from cars, right? And let's take it back to business. Um, I'm going to ask the business owners out there, because I've never been a therapist. I would never pretend to ask questions that a therapist or a counselor or so on and so on would ask, but let's take it to business. Do you feel as though the business that you're running is running on all cylinders, is firing on all cylinders? Do you feel as though you've utilized all of your business write-offs? Do you feel as though your business has the potential to grow in the next 3 to 5 years? What, if so, what type of growth do you see? Do you see hiring people on? What type of payroll structure do you have? What type of clock in system do you have? Do you think that that's the best of the best, or did you go with what you could afford at the time and just haven't changed? What type of insurances do you provide to your employees, right? And so asking those questions begs you to think a little bit deeper, like, where do I see myself in the next 5 years? Have I changed very much from the past 5 years? Has anything really grown in the last 5 years? Should it have grown in the last 5 years? No, I'm going to say this. If your business hasn't grown in the last 5 years, you are absolutely doing something wrong. I'm just going to put it out there. And the reason why is because of COVID. Your business should have absolutely grown during the COVID years. And those people, right, should all be excellent referral sources for you. The rule of thumb is for every one client, you should have 5 referrals. Of those 5 referrals, 3 should lock in. That's just the rule of thumb, right? It's just the way that the metrics tend to shake out. But if you're not asking for the business, right, in a sharing method, you'll never get that business. If you're never saying, like how Jessica says, if you're never saying, hey, listen, we've had an excellent time together. I really resonate with you. You resonate with me. If you happen to hear in the future of anybody who's looking for a therapist, I am open for business. I do have some slots available. I'm not saying you need to go out and hunt people down. Just in conversation, if you happen to hear of anybody, I would greatly appreciate it if you let them know about me, if that's okay with you. Once you say that if that's okay with you, you have people locked in and they will always be locked in with you because they're going to say, oh no, I love you. You're my fave. Absolutely. I'm locked in and absolutely I'm going to refer you out. So that would be my answer to that question is the sharing. Sharing is caring, absolutely. But it's just another word for selling.
Wow. Wow, that is very powerful. I absolutely, absolutely love that share. I so much so, y'all, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. Like
We
the
absolutely.
questions, because it made me think about the intake process. And, I don't think any of the administrators that work for practices go into it with this understanding that they're not there to be of service. I do believe that at some point, there can be an element of burnout when you deal with a lot of different emotions. You know, the mental health field right now, it is in major demand, and you're getting patients who have been waiting year after year just to get in the door at a therapist's office. And so when they're being emotional about it, like they're pleading with you, like, I really need to be seen, or please, like, I need help, can you get me in, like, and they're in a way practically begging for help and resources. uh you almost kind of expect the aggressiveness, and I think more aggressive, like more in the men, like they're just like very like, not all but some that I've encountered, they're very like, okay, let's get this done. Like, boom, boom. And so that can be translated as they're being rude to me, or they're targeting me. But the reality is, like, you're relieving them. And in that moment, it's coming off aggressive, but it's really like, okay, one step forward. And so being able to just sit back, remove yourself from the experience, and being able to attack it, not from a not only a logical and emotional, right? Because we want you to still have that emotional component just in check, but also be able to ask the questions knowing that you are helping. And so I love the answers that you've given, and just humanizing the experience and reminding all of us the importance of humanizing it. Because I'm going to tell you, as someone who has been in the healthcare industry for over 17 years now, and in addition to that, has encountered her own challenges with trying to sign up people who are very rigid, and they're not as flexible when it comes to questions being asked, or they're distracted, or they are just really just not being personable in a moment, especially like if I'm coming in at a time where I really need support. It is the most off-putting experience that you can ever deal with. And it can also, in a way, be invalidating. So I absolutely love that you went there. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through, actually, you know what? I am going to go through these next two question prompts, and then we'll move to final thoughts. But for this next question, I want you to think about, how do we know that we're being successful? Like, how are we measuring that success? We've talked about the client experience. We've talked about marketing and outreach, and your roles and responsibility for hiring the right professionals, according to Kelly, preferably me.
Absolutely.
We've talked about the referral sources, and making sure that you're identifying potential collaborations, but most importantly, you're identifying how you show up so you know what to ask for out of that collaboration. We've also talked about our ideal client. So now, taking all of this information, how do we measure the success? Let's say the therapist has put all of this into action. They've identified their ideal patient, they've niched down in what type of services they want to offer. They're starting to build collaborations, and they're marketing those collaborations and their services, and their clients are flourishing. what do they do to say, okay, we're doing good, or we could be improving in this area?
So a lot of that is just going to boil down to personality, right? The the long and the short of it is you can gain an understanding of your business growth by looking at your data, right? We all know what data is. We all know what our KPIs, our key performance indexes are, our CSIs, our customer satisfaction indexes are, so on and so forth. Even within our own teams, right? We can do our one-on-ones, for 10, 15 minutes or so and so with or so on and so on with our teammates and whatnot, or employees rather, to kind of gauge, like, are we trending the right direction? Things going good? You could look at your income from previous years to current, right? Especially after you sign up with us, you can actually look at for example, what does November 2023 look like in comparison to November 2024? Are you more profitable? Have you increased your client intake? Have you increased um, your overall uh, health and well-being of your staff, so on and so forth? Like, you can kind of gauge those things. To me, though, the personality of the individual is going to say, I'm hungry for more. Because even for myself, I've never really felt successful. I've had other people say, "Oh my goodness, you're so successful. You've got this, you've got that, blah blah blah. You've done this, you've done that. Okay, great." But the hunger inside of me is like, I can't wait to do this next thing. Or, yeah, I got to this goal, but now I'm going to create another goal. And that goal is going to be super, super advantageous and aggressive. And I'm going to do everything I can to knock that goal out of the park. So on the personality side, I would say you're never really going to, for certain personalities, you're never really going to feel successful. And that's okay, because that means that you're hungry. You're constantly hungry to do the next thing, to help more people, to reach out to more people. For some people, it's going to be like, you know what? I'm great with the state that I'm in or the region that I'm in, but now I need to get the whole East Coast. I need to be certified in the whole East Coast and have my licenses in every state on the East Coast or every state on the West Coast or nation, whatever it is, so that I can help more people, so that we can grow, so we can open more locations and help more people to the best of our ability. So from just a data standpoint, you'll be able to look at data and see growth. But from a personality standpoint, you're never going to feel like you're truly successful, because you're always going to be hungry to do more, be more, and help more.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So let's kind of take it back. Let's say we're talking to a person, like data and numbers goes over their head. Like they're just like, that is not my forte. That's not my ministry. Uh, where do they find it? But most importantly, I also want to ask, um, I want to throw in a statement before I continue the question. Be aware of the type of practice management and EHR system that you have. And I say that because some systems are very heavy on the practice management side and not on the reporting side. And so the functionalities within that system are very limited to reports. And so, like, I'm just going to name this company only because I use them, and don't sue me. Therapy Notes. Everybody loves Therapy Notes. Okay. Therapy Notes has four main reports. They have the write-off report. They have the um, posting report. No, 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 not posting report. You can check ERAs. They have your aging accounts report, and then they have like your patient report. All right. Or patient open balances report. So those four reports are amazing, right? However, they're what they don't have, or what they don't tell you, is what's missing. There's no report that shows if an ERA has been received or not. Where you can find that information is on the claim itself when you open it up for those who use therapy notes and you look down to see when it was submitted. There are timestamps within the log, the audit log that show you where it is. So you would basically have to go to the health insurance company website to pull that information. That can be very tedious. So be mindful of the type of systems you have, and so that when it comes to reporting, you can know without a shadow of doubt where to get your information. So going back to my question, Lord, I hope I didn't fully forget it. uh, where can they find data? How can they compile the data and build their own reports when the systems that they have don't reflect the information or the questions that they're trying to ask from the data?
Absolutely. Did y'all not just hear what Jessica said? Not the question, before the question. When she was talking about therapy notes and what's offered, what's not offered, so on and so forth. My answer to your question, Jessica, is they need to hire JLW. Not only do they have you, who you're super well versed, right? But like I said before, having access to someone like Javante, who is in bookkeeping, the two of you together, I'm sure the data and analysis and research, like the deep dives, you would be able to. So, you guys, let me get to the meat and potatoes of it. She asked about, what if you're not good at data? What if you're not good at combing through your stuff, right? That's fine. Not every, like she said, it's not everybody's ministry. Amen. I understand, but you need to know where you're at to know where you're going. So having someone who specializes not only in understanding the data, but also translating it to you so that it doesn't sound like it came from a far and distant language 25,000 years ago and you just can't understand it, right? Or maybe like a third grader's new math, because I can't understand that either. We need translators for these things. Amen. And so when we have those translators for those things, like Jessica and like Javante, why are we doing ourselves a disservice of trying to figure it out on our own, or going to YouTube University, or going to Googleations, or going to TikTok, or going to Instagram, when we literally have an entire firm that specializes in this at our fingertips, whose lives and Zooms you are currently watching? Make it make sense. Go ahead and book a consultation with her, because that is how you're going to not only understand the data, right, but have the data translated to you in a way in which you best understand how to receive it. Not necessarily what's just being put out there, but how do you receive the things that you learn, right? Like Jessica's phenomenal at teaching. She'll tell you there's multiple different types of ways people learn. And because she understands that there's multiple different types of ways people learn, she's more likely to feed back into you what you need to learn in the way in which you learn it. Are you a visual learner? Are you an audio learner? Are you somebody who needs to see it and read it and then have somebody go along with you? Go by line with our fingers, right? So, what type of person are you? She will definitely make sure that you're well taken care of. So, that would be my answer to that: is hiring JLW Consulting. Absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
You
I'm
guys,
just
I
saying.
I know you are, girl. I hear you. Okay. All right, y'all. So I'm going to bridge these last two questions before we move to final thoughts, because I think both are very important and they're both in a way saying the same thing, but you can answer it differently. So the first question is, how often should I review and adjust my strategies based on performance data? And then this second question was, what long-term strategies should I consider for sustainable growth and client referrals?
I love those questions. So just like you bridge the questions, I'm going to bridge the answers. So,
Okay.
so I would say when it comes to um, strategies and data and how often it should be reviewed, right? Give it a chance to work. Um, I wouldn't put a specific timeline on it, but I would say that if you've tried it and you see consistently for months on and for months on end, let's say a solid 6 months, you're putting in your best effort. You're doing everything your coaches and your mentors and so on and so forth telling you to do, and the data is just not supporting the change and the growth that you're supposed to see, then maybe change after 6 months. But if you start to see like little tidbits of incremental growth across that 6 months, don't give up on it. Because don't forget, and this is the bridge, right? We're in a global economy. And so just because something isn't working right now doesn't mean it's a you problem. It could be that the rest of the economy, the rest of the world is going through something and you just happen to be a part of that trickle down. But I've learned that what goes up must go down, and what goes down must also then in turn go back up. Okay. So if you see little trickles of growth, stick to it. Keep up the good work, right? Um, Refer back to your coaches, your mentors, your consultants. Let them know what your concerns are. They may be able to spot something in the data where it's like, hey, you know what? You can brush up more on this particular thing. Or, hey, you should have more income, but did you know that the compliance changed with this and the insurance company neglected to pay you your actual payout? So what you should have received, you didn't receive, you only received a percentage, right? That's where you're going to have the help, the assistance of a fighter like Jessica in your corner, because she might be able to look at the numbers differently than you look at the numbers. And because she's so well versed in compliance and the law, right? Um, as an advocate, right, she can say, hey, you know what? This actually changed in March of 2024, and you billed for this in May of 2024, and they paid you like it was January 2020. So we are going to go and get your money right now, right? And then the data then changes, right? The numbers change. What you thought you saw was just an apparition. It wasn't even real because you didn't know what you didn't know, but she knew. So as far as then continuing that bridge to target audiences, right? That's another reason why you have a team. You shouldn't be doing the spray and pray method. You shouldn't be just a machine gun out here telling every single soul what it is that you do, because at that point, I hate to say it like this, you diminish your value because everybody sees you as just, oh yeah, that's that therapist person I know. But they're not going to refer you because they don't know specifically what you do. They can't say how you've helped them individually, or they can't be your advocate in rooms that you're not in, right? So that's why the spray and pray method doesn't work, because then you just become that therapist or that counselor or that coach that just wants everybody. But you might not be the right fit for just everybody or just anybody, right? And so I would say definitely focus on being that sharpshooter when it comes to client acquisition, customer acquisition, however you want to put it. I like to say client acquisition personally. Um, and really hone in on who is for you, because the likelihood is that you are for them too. One thing that I like to say all the time is, and we've heard this all the time, God won't give you more than you can handle, right? But sometimes some people are way more than you can handle. It's like, oh, Jesus be offense, this person is not my ministry. Let me refer them to to Julius that I went to school with. I think this is more his ministry, amen. You know, passing a whole patient off just because you know you're not the best suited person for them, right? Just like we say, not all money is good money, okay? So we've got to understand, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when that client is your client, know when you're not the right therapist, coach, or counselor for that person as well. And don't be afraid to refer them to someone else that can better help them. Collaboration over competition all day, every day.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And you guys, I really wish we had more time with Kelly. Like I even have this bonus question that I've been going back and forth with on whether or not I was gonna ask it, but I'm gonna respect her time. She will be back not next week, but the week thereafter. So if you're following us on Instagram, or LinkedIn and soon to be Pinterest, we're going to put out a calendar with blackout dates. Those blackout dates are going to list the times that we will be going live. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you visit us on the website, select our courses, get rerouted to our landing page so that you can see what we have to offer in this course and join our upcoming lives. That being said, Kelly, what are your final thoughts for the people? What's that one thing that you want them to take away from everything that you said?
Absolutely. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to be a little bit motivational because I know that there's going to be somebody who's like, you know what, this girl does not know what she's talking about, so on and so forth, right? Even though I do. Like I said, 23 years worth of experience. So one of my final thoughts I will say is this. Um, and Jessica knows I'm very faith based. I'm a very faith based person. I don't believe that we are put here on this planet to struggle. I don't believe for an instant that our higher being, I believe in God, but God would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to put my children on this earth to have to borrow from Peter to pay Paul to struggle. I don't believe that. I believe that we are all destined for greatness. I'm a parent, so let's look at this from a parent standpoint, right? Do you wish for your children to have to struggle, or do you wish for abundance for your children? You wish for abundance, right? When it comes to business, you have to put the work in. People like Jessica, people like myself, like Natasha, like Javante, we've all put the work in and we don't want to be gatekeepers. We want to share because we believe that you should have an abundant life as well. And you should be able to live a comfortably abundant life while helping others doing what you're passionate about. You shouldn't have to sacrifice your passion just because things are not going the way that they should in your practice. And so I made a play on words the other night with Jessica. I said, some people are just practicing in their practice. They haven't reached a surgeon's precision yet. We are the difference between you practicing and you being precise, like a surgeon in your practice. Okay. There's a difference between life living you and you living life. There is a difference between you helping others and others going through you. So I say that to say this. There's some people that are therapists, and you know what? You may see a person for 2 months, 3 months, and then you never see them again. Why? Because they went on to somebody else. Why are they leaving you and going on to somebody else? There's something that you're not, that they're not resonating with. So having a team helps you be a better you because you understand you are not superwoman. You are not Superman. And my final thoughts are you've got to understand how to let go so that you can grow. Sometimes we hold on to that little plant, that little seedling so tight that it can never grow. You have to plant it, water it, and back away. Let it grow. Let the earth do what it does. Let other elements work its magic. And then you get to eat from the fruit of that plant that has grown. But if you hold on to that little sapling or seedling so tight, it'll never grow. It'll never become abundant. And you'll never have the opportunity to eat of the fruit of what that seedling or sapling could have been because you were too busy protecting it to the point of hurting it. Got to know the difference between protection and providing pain to something that you love. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and mute back up, Jessica. This has been phenomenal. I cannot wait for next week. But I'm interested to hear what are your final thoughts.
Ooh, I am a child of God. I do believe in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and I'm blown away by that final ending, especially as you were talking about abundance. And I tried to think of an analogy, and actually, as I was talking, what came into my spirit was Ruth and Naomi. I almost said Esther, y'all. Ruth and Naomi. And what specifically dropped in my spirit was Naomi had the wisdom, Ruth had the heart. Ruth met her Boaz as a result of following Naomi's instructions. And so when it comes to hiring the professionals like myself, Kelly, Javante, and Natasia, uh, we're the wisdom behind your vision. We help you bring it to light. And as a result of that, we are going to tell you when uh, something that you're looking for can't come to pass because of the regulations, but we're also finding a workaround for you. And so I want to leave you guys with this. I'm not a salesperson by trade, but I am learning to be direct and know when to be direct. And so I'm going to directly tell you that we have several options for our coaching program. If you know that you are someone that needs the help and you have not been able to do it the last 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, and you're still struggling, the time to recover is now. This season is a season of recovery. If you just look out in different areas of the country, if you're in the United States watching this, you just had a hurricane down in Texas where people are without power and they are struggling to get their businesses up. The deadline for disaster recovery, at least through the SBA, was last week. It was Sunday, the 14th. So if people didn't know about that, they're missing out on resources. This is where our program comes in to help you recover what you lost, to make sure that you are filing or at least have a plan to go after claims and that may have been or may be at risk of denying because of timely filing. If you know this is you, whether it's just recovering from the cybersecurity attacks that just took place several months ago, whether it's you're recovering from the cybersecurity attacks and you already had a pre-existing issue within your business, what we need you to do is visit us on the website, go ahead and put your deposit down for the program. We're not even asking for everything up front. Although if you desire to pay up front, that is an option. All we're asking you to do is put $500 down to secure your spot so that we can begin the process of helping you recover your business. That's it. There are payment plans available for those who need it. And we are willing to help you. We're willing to work with you because we understand how important your role is now more than ever. So, that being said, I'm not going to push y'all too much. But what I am going to say is that if you want your Boaz, and in this case, if you want your abundance for your practice, let us be your guides. Let us help you. And so, with that, I'm going to conclude there. Thank you so much, Kelly, for taking time out of your Friday night at that. Okay, I don't know many people that would choose to be in the house on a Friday after a very long week, but you did. You powered through, you showed up, and you really just blew us out of the park. So thank you so much. You guys, Kelly's information will be in the show notes. If you're on YouTube, check out the description. If you are tuning in from our podcast, it will also be in the description as well. And then you can also find it on our website and our social medias. Thank you so much for being the best part of JLW Medical and the Melanin Private Practice Collective podcast. And we will see you next time. Good night, everyone. Well, friends, that's our time. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. This podcast is sponsored by JLW Medical Management Consulting. We are now accepting applications for the patient referral program and the 90-day private practice bootcamp. If you would like to learn more, please visit us online at www.jlwmedicalmh.com. We look forward to seeing you next time.